So, a new track was added to Wreckfest, one that I have called the most complicated track in the game, and for good reason. There is off-camber corners, blind turns, icy grass, jumps on corners, jumps in corners, jumps that if you mess up the setup to, you'll be too slow to make the next jump, jumps that you have to endo over, hard braking points, into and over ditches, track cuts, drops into corners. You get the idea. It's extremely complicated. This track requires a skill which, as of now, is unseen in Wreckfest, and, to be honest, kind of useless to the rest of Wreckfest. Pacenotes. Watch this. Hey, let's do this. Right 5 long into off-camber left 4, don't cut. Nice. Left 6 crests into left 3, right 3 long. Go. Very good, very good. Okay, left 2 tight into crest, right 6. Nice, nice, nice. Good, keep on it. Jump into right 4 long. Here. Very good, very good. Alright. Come on, let's get some speed up. Caution, low grip, right 4 into left 6 long. Fucking beautiful. Right 4 drop into left 6 long. Left 5 long, don't cut into caution, left 4, don't cut. Good, good, good. Right 5 long into crests. Good. Jump into crests, into jump, hard landing. Nice. Okay, right 6 drop into crests, left 5 tightens into drop. Oh, too tight. I'll spare you my bad co-driving and that horrific quality. The player you are watching there, Pepper Pepsi, doesn't play Wreckfest much. He's a total of about 16 hours in-game, but he is well versed in Dirt Rally. Now, it is unreasonable to expect a player in a lobby to have a buddy on hand to give them pace notes. Sometimes it happens, but no, the vast majority of the time, if not all of the time, you aren't going to be getting pace notes. But we can replicate them. The driver, you, know what is going to happen, and typically, coming into a corner, we'll set up for that turn, make it, and then set up for the next turn with ample time to get where we need to be on the track. You don't have time for that here. We have to know what is going to happen and set up for the corner after, based on our position then. Sounds complicated and really it doesn't make sense, but watch what I mean. Here's a player, Torrickson, who is in every way a significantly faster player than I am, who is driving how I first described compared to me driving how I second described. The guy in front of him is the problem. Torrickson, he's one of the fastest players in the game. At least in C-Class, but he just took this corner way wide and I followed him. It's all good. I'll catch him at this right angle here.
I don't know, man.
Oh!
Oh, shit.
All is well. First police is up just ahead as well. Ah, good. They're going to go wide here. Here's a wide-minded strategy. Don't go wide here, and that way you don't crash like he just did.
Ándale.
Oh, fuck!
Yes.
That was slightly aggressive.
Yes.
This could be simply chalked up to him making a mistake, And while I don't doubt that a player could learn this track, someone like Torikson absolutely can with ease, and probably has by now to be honest. But at that time, this was my, I think, second race online on this track, and I am hardly experienced. But I'm doing two things. One, I'm being very undercommitted, copying his lines where it suits, and if he crashes I've got maybe 3/4 of a second to figure out why and what to do or what not to do in order to not crash myself. 3/4 of a second's a very long time in racing. I've also memorised the most dangerous areas of the track, namely 5 places. Here, 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 and here. Let's go through them in order. The first one's pretty cut and dry. It's very early in the race, so 2 and 3 wide happens a lot, and it is an off-camber tight left turn, which can actually be taken quite quickly if you go wide like I tried to. You can go over the camber and land in a rut, but that's a jump which crosses right across the track, and you don't want to be doing that, especially early in the race. Second is a triple crest into a turned landing. If you go wide, there's icy grass just waiting to take you off the track. In the breakdown, I'll cover some strategies for getting around this corner because it can be taken quite easily from, well, anywhere on the track. A 2 wide is actually possible here given the right setup. Third is an illusion which causes you to try to go left of these trees. Don't deny it, you've done it at least once. I can't stop doing it, so I force myself to the right hand side of the track early to basically avoid those trees at all costs. The fourth one is a strange corner. It's a drop into a jump into a low grip left 3. So you have to brake into the jump, rotate a little bit, which can cause cars to snap in the other direction. Just quickly, there is a simple cover of rally callouts in the description. Give that a read if you don't understand what the rally callouts mean. And finally we have a left 3 into right 3. The left turn has a big runoff inside of it, and the right has a crest on the apex and another on the exit. If you hit the crest on the apex of the corner, it will almost always make you hit the outside one as well. So what we're going to do is brake early, cross that big runoff on the inside as tight as possible, and this will open out an almost straight line between these 2 crests. The track is actually quite smooth here. We've covered some of the basics of the track, and we've gone over some of the scarier bits. Now, let's drive through the track, look at some lines, and break down all 53 corners in this track. Strap in, this is going to be a long one. Coming into the first corner, as I described earlier, we'll set up for the corner that we are worried about crashing on, which is the off-camber left-hand turn. So we're going to start manoeuvring for the turn at these checkpoint markers here. This corner is honestly the most important corner in a full hobby. Traffic will dictate your line. The 2 easiest options for lines are to cut as tight as possible for the trees and go wide around the off-camber section of the corner. This is good from a standing start because it is very fast. However, other players who try to keep up or cut the track will be bounced across, potentially into you. This corner is impossible to take too wide with both players getting around. With players very close, it is better to take the off-camber section of the track, I think. It's safer and other players will typically avoid it, if given the opportunity. Depending on the car and tuning, this way of making the turn is actually very smooth. The second option is to go wide in the turn and then Scandinavian flick around the corner, which makes the long straight after the turn, if taken with enough speed, into one very smooth line. In my experience, this isn't possible from a standing start in C-Class. Next we have a relatively straightforward left-right turn with a crest on the inside of the first corner. This is to ensure that we don't just cut the whole thing. That crest can actually be jumped, but I found it very risky to do. I found a tendency for the car to snap left or right depending on my landing, so I would recommend avoiding doing that. We want to get as close to the trees on the inside of the corner as there is ample runoff at any speed exiting the corner. Thankfully the markers, the checkpoint markers, are a really good braking indicator for C-Class that sets you up pretty well. Next corner is just a simple left 3, there's nothing really to break down here. The information you see in the top left hand corner of my screen though is relatively useful I guess. We can use this as an indicator to tell if I'm getting lag. The line that you see at the bottom should remain level at all times. This is my frame time. Here we have a very difficult corner for any long wheel based powerhouse. Observe. You may be wondering what's wrong with that turn. Notice how the car turns away from the corner. This is called, I don't actually know what the correct term for it is, but essentially it's snap understeer caused by the landing. Snapping on landings into the corner and out of the corner is going to be a recurring theme among powerhouses, and even my Boomer RS at one point on this track. We can use the icy grass and extra steering into the turn to mitigate this. The loss of steering and angle it snaps to can be learned with practice, so you can end up, when the car straightens itself out, you'll be in the right direction. Coming up next, we have a triple crest on a right-hand turn. This corner is very counterintuitive in that on a typical course you want to come in as fast as possible from the outside of the turn, hit the apex and leave on the outside of the exit. The crests make that nearly impossible to do though. As you try to rotate, the crests will unpredictably bounce your car around and you will become nothing more than a passenger. You can take this corner from the outside, but you must brake just as you start to go airborne on the first crest, rotating the car downwards and putting the car in a endo, like you'll see me do shortly. This keeps the steering wheels down on the ground, giving you a bit more time to prepare. However, we can go through this corner much faster by starting from the inside of the turn. And as you can see, this sets us up very well for the next corner. Be careful of this corner. It's got a couple of crests on the inside of it, which if you cut too deeply will roll you over. If you get the angle right, you can hit one and go 2 wheels over the other without rolling, but it takes a decent bit of practice and a lot of commitment for gains of, well, under 10 milliseconds. But milliseconds is how we make seconds, and if you're hot lapping, you want that cut. Here we have the first, almost unpreventable snapping corner on the track, and to demonstrate this we're going over to the Super Venom. I needn't say that the Super Venom isn't suited to this track. I even crashed just getting there to get that clip. So what can we do to prevent this almost impossible driving condition for the car? Well, softening the suspension helps, but I was running 3 there, and any softer would make the car's handling even worse, and the snapping in my experience is just as bad. Perhaps steering sharper into the corner. That does work, but it slows us down a hell of a lot. Instead what we'll do is we'll steer in and land on the icy grass. This makes the snapping significantly less pronounced, as the outside wheels, which are the ones spinning us, have much less grip. But if you land all wheels on the grass, you will still snap around, so you have to land 2 wheels on the grass, 2 wheels off the grass. Here we have a drop into a couple of crests. These crests can be made into a jump if you hit them fast enough. Hard suspension has a tendency to kick the car down here, but you'll be slightly faster in the drop with hard suspension. An honourable mention for difficult corners, another snappy turn with an icy runoff. You want to cut as close to the tree here as possible. There may be a cut actually through the trees if you go left of that white birch that we can see, but I've not tested it yet. Here we have possibly the narrowest section of the track, a very high-speed left. Any crashes here cause total chaos on the track. If you do see a crash, you want to get as far left of the corner as soon as possible. We can do this by handbraking left and to rotate the car a bit and decelerating. Just braking will help, but it will reduce your speed. You could also, if you see the crash on the minimap, take the exact opposite line that you saw me take here. Joy, another snappy turn. This one has a few remedies though. We can cut left onto the grass like before, but also keep right and use the little ditch, it's not really a ditch, more a small cliff, to slide down and back onto the track. This is a very difficult move to perform, however. It also juts out at one point, which will throw your car across the track if you stay there too long. I'm quite divided on how to take this turn. I'd like to know how you take it in the comments. It's a left 3 long with a big runoff. This runoff can be used to take a far wider line and go faster overall through the corner, putting us actually on the left side for the next turn, which is good, making it right. But recently I found that not going into that runoff area, instead keeping as far right as possible on the exit and then cutting the next corner is actually faster. I don't really know. Either way, it's slightly off camber, which generally pushes us wider. This corner is yet again snappy. I've taken to simply turning in tight and going on the grass so that I don't run off the track. It's pretty much impossible to straighten out the car here regardless, so that's what I found to be fastest. Our second caution. This isn't really a turn at all. I don't really know what it is about this corner which makes you want to go left of those trees. The first 3 to 5 laps of this track I was always crashing here, until I actually started saying to myself on the corner before, keep right, keep right, keep right. Either way, this turn leads into quite a low grip corner, and you cannot go wide under any circumstances, because, well, as you'll see, there's a drop. But it can be taken flat out if you've got the commitment and line choice. This is a rough one. The track is very high speed coming up to this corner, and it puts us on the inside of the turn coming up. However, trying to get on the outside of the turn will sacrifice a lot of speed in the big straight, and you cannot turn right at all after you go airborne. It will become impossible to make the left-hand corner. Here we have a square left, quite a difficult one to judge braking for, I've found. If we go onto the grass, we lose a lot of grip, but it gives a significantly wider line, making the corner much easier to do. This corner can also be cut, despite there being ditches on the inside and outside of the turn. Do try to be careful and not go too far outside of the turn, because it is really hard to get back on the track if you do. We're coming up to the second long straight. We're going to start maximising our speed as much as possible, cutting corners at all times and staying flat out regardless of what's happening. The track is wide enough for it, so it should be fine. Even though this is one of, maybe actually the fastest section of the track, I haven't hit over 110 miles an hour on it in C-Class. It's a very slow track. It's easy to forget to brake, having finally gotten some good speed up, but don't forget to though, especially into this quite wide right 3. It's deceptively narrow feeling because of how fast you come into it, but you definitely need to brake. This corner I absolutely hate. It is a tightening left turn with a really good time reducing cut on the exit. This turn can be taken flat without braking, but setup for it is critical. The crests and bumps in the road throw the car in weird directions if you don't drive the car hard into the turn. I thought I would break down this corner, this cut a little bit. There is actually 2 ways to do it. Like you see here, and going wider and staying right of the poles until I jump into the next turn. That second way is probably faster, but it is terrifying to do because the car has no grip and it is a very tight line you need to stick to. Sadly, I don't have a clip of it, but I had a crash here with 2 other players. We all took different lines on this straight. One went on the track, I went the way that you see, and another player went right. And we all ended up in the same place when we came back onto the track, so it might not actually be fast at all to do it. This bump makes this high speed right very dangerous. You can put your right wheels in the ditch on the right of the track, and this will help you stop going way too far wide if you can actually get your wheels in the ditch in the first place. Aside from that, a little lift will help you get around the corner. And we have a high speed left to finish this track up. There is plenty of room to cut the track very tight on the left, but it is icy, which makes front wheel drive obscenely fast through this last corner, gaining up to a second alone. All that being said, I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm going to take my supervan around the track, but I made a little modification to it.